Monday is a great night because you get to take a look at what happened last week and preview what's going to go on this week. I'm talking about conventions, of course.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome aboard. We had plenty of analysis on the Rhode Island, I should say on the Republican National Convention, or as I call it, the TNC, the Trump National Convention last week. And to do a little bit of a, preview from the other side tonight, we will do the, well, that's fast. We're already, we got so much stuff for this show, we're flashing it already. The chairman of the state Republican Party is here, and the senior state representative, who has now decided he's not running for re-election, joins us as well. Two of my favorite guys in the Republican Party. It's not that it's that deep, but I'm just saying. Will join me momentarily. Nice to have you aboard. It's kind of a raucous day already for the Democrats. Now, again, for those of you who watch the show at 7:30, most of what we talk about preview to the convention will not yet have occurred. If you're watching at midnight, you probably saw some of this stuff. It's part of the nature of the game when we tape our broadcast each day in the midday. But here are the headlines that we do have. Monday, big lineup. The senator from Massachusetts is actually the keynote speaker. Michelle Obama will speak. I wonder if she'll plagiarize Melania. No, I don't know. Do they share notes back and forth? And a second headline here talks about the tensions. And here's the story about the tensions that came from over the weekend.
A rocky start to the DNC for Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Everybody settle down, please.
The embattled and resigning DNC chair was shouted down during a breakfast by members of her own delegation.
We know that the voices in this room that are standing up and being disruptive, we know that that's not the Florida that we know.
The Florida Congresswoman is stepping aside as chair after leaked emails suggested that rather than staying neutral, she had favored Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders during the primaries. At a time when the DNC is trying to show unity, the shakeup has dominated headlines, but the Clinton campaign is hoping tonight's all-star lineup will refocus the convention. Senator Sanders is scheduled to speak, so is First Lady Michelle Obama and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. The newest CBS News poll now shows Clinton and Donald Trump tied at 42%, with Trump getting a slight bump after last week's Republican convention.
There's actually more polling data that has Donald up a few points as well. Brandon Bell is the chairman of the party. Joe Trillo needs no introduction. He talks. Trillo talks, a world famous show that you probably watch more than this one, right? Are your ratings better than mine?
We don't have any way of doing ratings, so we're better.
You got an excuse.
Right, I got an
Well,
excuse.
we're really big, but we really don't have any ratings. Good to see you guys. By the way, Joe is going to stick around for a conversation that will air on Friday of this week where we discuss his terrific career as an elected official. You are exiting stage left. You've decided you're all done. I
have decided that after 16 years, it's time to take the political hat off for a while.
Oh.
For a while. I never know when I put it back on.
I object. I want him to stay.
Well, but a while.
Hey.
What are you guys scheming?
It must be a conspiracy. Don't tell him.
Well, you'll have to wait till Friday because I actually asked these guys in and talked about the convention. You all right? Brandon was good enough to join me each day at 5 o'clock last week, and it was a real pleasure. You all recovered from your first ever convention?
I need a few more days.
Really?
Man, oh, boy.
It was fun, though.
It was great.
It was one of your best ever
experience.
weeks. I mean, for people who are politically engaged, it is the Super Bowl. And
It is.
The environment is just so electric and energized. I mean, you run on fumes by the time it's done, right?
This is my third convention. So you know what not to waste time doing, and what's really fun and what's not fun. So you kind of condense it down. I mean, I used to do 2 weeks, as Brandon did, which is too much to be at the convention. But the bottom line is it was a great convention. The electricity there was unbelievable. And the enthusiasm and just the support for Trump that we saw was incredible. And we're talking about from the Cruz supporters and the Kasich supporters. It was good.
I want to talk more about what happened last week in our second and third segments of the show, but because the news is kind of provocative contemporarily here. By the way, can we just, in terms of the lineup for the entire week for the Democratic National Convention, Steve, can we just throw up some of those graphics again tonight? Bernie Sanders, and there's a lot of worry about Bernie Sanders tonight, and a lot of protests going on as we record our program early this afternoon in Philadelphia. Then Michelle, and then Elizabeth Warren. And Joe Kennedy behind her. It's interesting. You know, keynotes these days, I think they ought to just put a band up, you know, and say that's it. I don't understand this follow-up to the keynote type of thing. It's all about timing the 10 o'clock. And you heard of that first guy. He'll be there Tuesday night. And this is risky, I think. We'll talk about that. Wednesday, the president, the vice presidential nominee, and the mayor who went this way, meaning Hillary Clinton's way, and then on Thursday, obviously it's the family and all of that. Thanks for putting that up. Your take, now listen, by the time everybody sees this, we'll know whether or not Debbie Wasserman Schultz actually spoke and opened up the convention. So forgive us for the predictions that may or may not come true since we're taping in the midday. A chairman not opening up the convention?
I have never seen in all the conventions a chairman not calling the convention to order, because that's the job of the chairman. So if she doesn't open it up, I mean, I think it would really be where I am so guilty I can't face this audience. That's what it's got to be.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing. I mean, you know, Reince Priebus had never had any kind of controversy throughout all of the 17 primary
the Republican
candidates.
National Chairman.
The Republican National Chairman took the high road, always did, never took favorites. Some people were harsh on him for not being harder on Mr. Trump for not taking the pledge back in August of last year. And they played well together in the sandbox. Clearly that didn't happen with Wasserman Schultz. I don't think she should speak. I'd love to see it, though. I'll buy some serious popcorn.
You know, I don't know how. I mean, she could abridge her comments just to show up and get out of there. But there's no doubt that with the level of Bernie support that'll be in that building, this is not Trump Cruz on a prorated basis.
Right.
This is, other than super delegates, this is a narrow
Win. Right.
win.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that is a. And with him speaking tonight, and with some disappointment over Tim Kaine actually being the nominee because they think he's a little bit too, you know, Wall Street favorite, I mean, this could be a little messy.
It's a double-edged sword. If she speaks, she'll disrupt the room because they will go crazy on her, which is expected. If she doesn't speak, she's going to be guilty for not speaking. So she's
you could
really,
have a chance of where's Debbie.
Right.
You know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
yeah,
where
she's
is
in
she?
a no-win situation.
Yeah, I bet you she speaks and suffers a little bit of turbulence. Again, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It will roll on social media. It will not be prime time. It'll be clip prime time, but it's not. Although I think it'll be more dramatic, it's not unlike the roll call mess that you guys had at the beginning, where there was some movement by those straggling folks who, you know, had an objective for a non-binding delegate vote, even though they say it was about party rules for 2016 and 2020. For the most part, you know what their long-range objective was. They had to at least say, we try to unbind the delegates so that Donald Trump could be defeated. But for the most part, that was forgotten over the course of the week after it
Right,
happened.
it was.
Absolutely.
Right.
It was a good effort on the part of the people that organized it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I won't even say it was a good effort. It was an effort. And it was never going to play from day one, walking into that room, and I knew it.
But if you wanted party unity long term and not have this kind of bittersweet taste in a lot of people's mouths, there was no harm by the RNC to say, you know what, go ahead, you know, let's have some rules votes here, because the deck was stacked against any kind of momentum changing the convention. So why not give them something to chew on?
There was an initial faux pas on Monday of last week, and that was really just the chairman of the Rules Committee making a determination that the voice vote about the rules was enough, and then after a little bit of time away, comes back to the podium and makes the right call. It was clearly the yeses had it in terms of the the roll call or the rules, and then in terms of the motion for reconsideration for the roll call, there were 9 states and 3 had backed out. I joked around that I want 10% whatever they got, but by the same token for our party, but by the same token, it worked out well. At least it was fair, it was transparent, and we got past that.
Well, the bump has arrived. I mean, CBS has got them deadlocked, but An ensuing competitive poll has him up 3 points today. I don't
Biggest
thi-
bump since 2000.
I'm not so sure you ought to get your panties in a bundle, quite frankly, yet, but you had to get something, and you did.
Well, I think we should have got more. Now, hopefully, the Democrats, instead of getting a bump, will get a hit, and they will lose because of all this controversy. So that's why it's going to be really interesting to see how this convention opens up. Bernie Sanders walks on that stage. If he says anything negative about Hillary Clinton,
All hell's going to break
all
loose.
hell's going to break loose. He's going to alienate the party. But you know, unlike Ted Cruz, who thinks that he came to the party and he basically defecated on the floor of the party, and that's what he did do. Did you?
Now, you know, I'm so glad to have him here because, you know, I normally
You're
am
usually
to-
the one that we have to say, should we edit that?
But you know what he will do. What Cruz did is he shot himself for ever being a presidential winner again. He might win in Texas. That's if Donald Trump doesn't spend enough money to go after him, which I think he will.
Well, I think Cruz's bet is that Trump won't win, and so I think,
But Sanders doesn't have to worry about that. He's not going to run for president again, so he could lay a bomb
I don't know.
tonight.
I think he wakes up in the morning every day wanting to be the president, and I still think I think that was all a calculated plan that didn't quite make it. When we come back, we'll talk about Hillary, the Hillary standard. Of course, don't forget, this guy had a big moment. This guy was watching. Let's get the truth behind who panicked or didn't. We'll be right back.
But he has been gamed. It's a rigged system against him. And what happened with the choice of Tim Kaine was a slap in the face to Bernie Sanders and everybody.
Yeah. So now, this whole act that Donald Trump has been articulating over how upset he is about how the way Bernie's been handled here is. Nobody buys it. Although, look, let's be frank. The Democratic delegate system is super delegate heavy,
Oh, yeah.
and anybody who's being objective has got to say, wow.
Well, you know what it did, though? It kept everybody else out of the race because everybody knew that
Right.
that she had sewed up all these superdelegates.
Great
so
point.
this is why only guys like Chafee got into the race. There should have been more
Non-consequential
legitimate candidates in the race.
Well, you know what? I will tell you that part of the reason Donald Trump, I don't have to tell you, part of the reason Donald Trump was able to survive this is that he had a fixed put of excitement at 35% and was able to hold on to that as everyone else kind of, fell down around him, some 16 candidates, right? So if there was a superdelegate system on the Republican side, perhaps you wouldn't have had the mess and/or Donald Trump.
It's possible. Listen, I sat on a show with Joe McNamara. He couldn't even explain how many delegates go to the convention from Rhode Island, whereas our system is transparent. You're on the ballot.
The state Democratic
The
chairman.
state Democratic
Right.
chairman. I mean, it's the easiest system in the world to understand. It's the most transparent. People understand that the will of their vote is going to count. 65% of the vote went to Donald Trump.
At the same time, I think that people do have a misunderstanding about how presidents are actually picked, and how the party politics is not. While it has of course a substantial Democratic flavor, these are private corporations that pick candidates the way they want to. Now maybe that's why we have so many unaffiliated independent voters in the country. But it's been a real civics exercise. I don't know how many people are actually going to come away understanding that choosing delegates is not pure one person, one vote stuff, right?
Right.
That's correct.
On your side either.
No, there's case law that's
With the calculations from state to state to state as to how everything is kind of
Yeah.
done differently.
And in our state, there's actually case law that if in a state primary, Joe Trillo versus Brandon Bell, if we tied, the Republican Party could pick who the winner is.
But because we only have 19 delegates, I would have liked to see us be a winner-take-all state. It would have given us a little more power in the big picture of the National Republican Party.
Right, going down to the
Right.
to May when it was really kind
Yeah,
of like
absolutely.
at the bitter end. Hillary Clinton said something really interesting on 60 Minutes last night when pressed about, Scott Pelley, who did the interview, said, hey, listen, I was talking to this African-American man who said he wants to vote for you, but you know what? He just feels like you're corrupt. And he couldn't put his finger on it, da-da-da-da-da-da. And he asked her, why do you think you're perceived that way?
I often feel like there's the Hillary standard, and then there's a standard for everybody else.
What's the Hillary standard?
Well, it is, you know, a lot of, as you saw at the Republican convention, unfounded, inaccurate, mean-spirited attacks with no basis in truth, reality, which take on a life of their own. And for whatever reasons, and I don't want to try to analyze the reasons. I see it, I understand it. People are very willing to say things about me, to make accusations about me that are I don't get upset about them anymore, but they are very regrettable.
That's not the face of someone who's not upset about them. Why are you laughing?
It's hysterical. It reminds me of the Jim Carrey movie, Liar, Liar, where the secretary's on the phone and says, you know, so-and-so, you know, committed armed robbery. This time it was armed robbery on an ATM. And he takes the phone and he said, "Stop breaking the law!" I mean, how does she not understand that she is extremely careless, that she's not to be trusted? And she talks about these scandals and the Hillary standard. For 40 years she's been running from scandals. She's running for president for 10. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And she's great at doing the spin. Nobody can spin off an attack like the Clintons can. She's been spinning them off.
That's it.
She spins them off like they're nothing. And the beauty part about it is she's also mastered the art of staying calm and cool when she's really being hung by the neck. Yeah. And she just spins it off as this is nonsense. I mean, how dare you accuse me of giving away security secrets or emails or all the stuff
She's
been
apologized
accused.
for the email. She even did so again in the interviews. Of course, she doesn't think it. Why would she admit that it rose to the level of prosecution when the FBI decided that they couldn't get an attorney general to actually prosecute that case? But Donald using the crooked Hillary stuff. I mean, there's a point of the political season where I think it's effective, and then at some point, it's going to be interesting to see how long he stays with the crooked Hillary references. And you think it's going to be the whole way home?
Far be it from me, who's been in politics quite a few years, to tell Donald Trump, who beat 16 very good people out in the Republican primary, how to run an election, because he's broken every rule in the book. Every advisor, every political analyst, every political junkie will tell you everything he's done. He should have been dead and 10 feet under by now, and he's not, because he's saying things that the public want to hear. And he's going to pull a big Democratic vote in this state, trust me.
Well, it'll be interesting. By the way, have you read the New Yorker piece?
Have I read it? No.
Yes. I do need to, Mr. Chairman of Trump. Did you read it?
I did.
Did it not give you pause?
I never thought that he wrote the book.
Do we have a headline on that? Do we have the headline on that New Yorker piece, Steve? Could you please put that up? This is a must read. This is a must read about Donald Trump's ghostwriter for The Art of the Deal and how much contrition he has and sorrow he says he has for writing that. But it's all fabricated. Well, most of it's fabricated. And he says this guy has an attention span, you know, this long, and is about him, money, and nothing else, and feeds off attention and is not anywhere near authentic, you know. And what you see is actually what you get. That was all of his analysis. I mean, you better have a cocktail before you drink it, or afterwards.
Yeah, but you know what?
Because I know what kind of a fan. I was going to say sycophant, but you know I wouldn't say that to you, Joe. You are with Donald Trump. And it's kind of funny. Real quick, you are the party honorary chairman. I mean, the Trump honorary chairman. You are the party chairman who came kicking and screaming at Donald Trump. So right. He's devout. You're like, he's our best chance. True?
I want him to win. I'm going to vote for him. Absolutely.
Was it what I said inaccurate? Fan, have to be fan.
He's
Skeptical.
Become a fan.
Have
you
you
not become a fan?
He has grown on me.
Yeah, well, the only choice. And, come on.
No, I mean, listen.
It's not a question of being the only
I don't
choice.
think so, yeah.
I think it's becoming looking at the big picture. Okay, you look at Hillary Clinton, she's made all these mistakes. You look at Donald Trump, he's made all these mistakes. Guess what? I'll go with Donald Trump's mistakes any day of the week because they haven't affected the country.
All right. This guy had a big day last week when he was out in Cleveland. Here. Explain when we come back.
Unfortunately, government is not working in Rhode Island for the people.
as the state is run by a corrupt Democrat political machine for the last 80 years. In our state, we are constantly ranked near the bottom, recently ranked 50th worst in terms of our business-friendly climate. Democratic leadership in our state has been rampant with corruption, lack of transparency, and unethical conduct, which makes it no surprise that the Democratic presidential nominee is supported by each and every one of Rhode Island State Democratic leadership. It should therefore come as no surprise that Rhode Island delivered, sorry Jersey, the largest margin of victory in a three-way race with the most amount of votes cast in the history of a Republican primary, with over 64% for Donald J. Trump.
All right, so, oh my God, you shouldn't have done it. Tourism, Democratic chairman, oh my God, so bad for tourism. The governor suggesting, well, blah, 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 blah. You know what, we've had a conversation on the radio about it. I've opined about it here. It was an opportunity to make a point. And by the way, I think you know by now, it had much more resonance here than it did in the world, you know, in a roll call television vote. Reaction a week later?
I walked into the courtroom this morning for the first time out in the public in Rhode Island, and I got nobody but people shaking my hand. And these are not Republicans. These are not people that I see at Republican events. These are likely Democrats in many situations. Absolutely. People said you spoke the truth. We're glad to hear it. Stop hiding, stop burying yourself, to the Democrats. Just this weekend, my understanding is that Chairman Joe McNamara was on one of the programs and said, basically that, look, it is what it is. We should talk about calamari and we should talk about Dells. And, he said we should be the roosters, ambassador roosters, whatever it's called. I said, yeah, Joe is the oblivious ostrich. And that's the problem. That's what we have going here.
I think.
I was wondering what you were thinking when he did that. Did you preview what he wrote?
No, I had no idea what he was going to say.
What were you thinking as he did it?
Well, I was getting a little nervous as it went on and on and on.
Dorian Costa almost, had a conniption in front of. She was like, but
I have to admit, but when you look at it, here we're in a room with all these other states, and their chairmen are touting the fact we have a Republican governor, we have a Republican legislature, we have the lowest unemployment, we have everything is the best, the best, the best. It's not true in Rhode Island. Because we've had Democratic leadership, Democrat General Assembly, our state is at the bottom of the barrel, and we can't get out of the bottom of the barrel. So what he did, I think, was credible. And I fully support it. I think it was a good idea. As far as did it hurt tourism? If the Democrats are worried about hurting tourism, first of all, they have no idea how we could help tourism. No idea how we could help it. Let's go employ some people from out of state again and throw a few $1 million around and let them design some programs.
You'll come back for the Friday show. He's still excited.
He's so excited about it.
You had a good week. You just cut your losses.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Final word when we come back. Stay with us. So I have more Joe Trillo coming up on Friday because, while I got him, I want him to reflect a little bit on 16 good years in the state legislature and some of his thoughts. And, he's always provocative, so program note on that. Tomorrow, Professor Camerano and Noel Rubinton, journalists, come back here to talk about the DNC on day one, so I hope you tune in for that. We'll see you on the radio at 3 on WPRO, and I thank you as always for watching.